They thought this poor girl was just another criminal, until she pulled off her jacket. One look at her tattoo, and even the judge froze. What secret from the past had returned to haunt them all? Asterisk, it was supposed to be a routine hearing. Another name on the docket. Another girl with no future, sitting quietly while lawyers debated her worth. But behind her silence, there was a storm brewing, one tied to secrets far older than anyone in that courtroom could imagine. Asterisk, Lena wasn't born a criminal. She was born into pain. A foster home kid shuffled from stranger to stranger. A girl who grew up hearing she wasn't worth saving. They said she'd never make it, that she was destined for prison. And now, here she was, 22 years old, charged with assault, facing a trial she knew she couldn't win. But Lena had something they didn't know about. Something inked into her skin, a tattoo she hadn't looked at in years. A tattoo that tied her to a tragedy none of them had solved. Asterisk, it had started with kindness, or what she thought was kindness. A man harassing a waitress at a diner. Lena stood up for her, punched him square in the face when he wouldn't stop. Turns out, that man was the mayor's son. Turns out, no one cared what started it. Turns out, Lena was going down. Her court-appointed lawyer barely glanced at her. The prosecutor smirked. The judge looked like he'd rather be anywhere else, until they asked Lena to remove her jacket. Asterisk, standard procedure, they said. She couldn't wear anything that might intimidate the jury. Not that Lena had much of a jacket, just a faded army green thing with holes in the elbows. Her fingers trembled as she peeled it off. That's when it happened, the tattoo. A simple design. 2 broken wings. Faint but clear on her wrist. Asterisk, the judge's face changed instantly. His gavel froze midair. His mouth opened, then shut, as if the words had been stolen from him. People whispered. The prosecutor leaned in. The court reporter stopped typing, because 15 years ago, there had been another girl. Another little girl found wandering the woods with those same broken wings inked on her wrist. A girl who had vanished. Days later, a case that haunted this town. And the man who had found that little girl back then was now the judge. Asterisk, the courtroom recessed. The judge asked to speak to Lena privately. Where did you get that tattoo? He asked, his voice shaking. My mother gave it to me. Before she disappeared, Lena whispered. Do you know what it means? No. I was too young. I just remember the woods, the dark, and someone pulling me away. The judge sat down. His hands trembled. That case had ruined lives. The child had vanished without a trace. And now, she was standing before him, Lena Mallory. Not just a foster kid. Not just another case. She was the girl from the woods, and someone had been lying to her for her entire life. Asterisk, a rush of revelations spilled forth. The adoption papers were fake. The foster care records forged. The people who had raised her weren't legal guardians. They were hiding her. Why? Because Lena's mother hadn't disappeared. She'd been murdered by the man Lena had punched in the diner, who wasn't just the mayor's son. He was the son of the man who had orchestrated it all to cover up the scandal. The judge connected the dots in horror. The tattoo wasn't just a symbol. It was a message. A secret mark placed by a desperate mother who knew her child might need saving one day. Asterisk, the courtroom reconvened. The prosecutor looked smug. The judge cleared his throat. I have seen enough. Case dismissed. Charges dropped. Effective immediately. Gasps again. Shouts of protest. The prosecutor nearly leapt from his seat. But it was too late. The judge had ordered a federal investigation. Into Lena's life. Into the mayor's son. Into everything this town thought was buried. Asterisk, Lena walked free that day. But she wasn't. The same girl who'd walked in. Now she knew who she was. Now she knew her story wasn't over. And for the first time in her life, someone powerful was finally on her side. And justice? Justice was just beginning.